my husband.
He took my son. He could take him anywhere.
Why do you think Marco took Luca? He knows something's going on with this guy you work for.
You can be free of Armand. Cooperate with the FBI, and I will keep you safe.
It's more complicated than that.
Let's settle this, or you'll never see your son again.
I'm not gonna let anything happen to my son.
I have some bad news.
The Cleaning Lady season premiere, Monday, September 19th on Fox.
It's sweating time!
Richard Simmons was one of the most visible celebrities in America.
I kiss and hug more people than the Pope.
He had biggest heart you've ever imagined. He deeply cared about people.
I always welcome everyone with unconditional love.
You couldn't turn on a TV without seeing him.
Everybody in the audience got one today!
But then, in 2014, he just vanished.
It was almost like you were going to a funeral, but of a person who was still living.
Richard Simmons has not been seen in public ever since, for more than 8 years, and the theories are wild, including one that his housekeeper, Teresa, is holding him hostage.
Richard, are you okay, Richard?
Some people think Richard is dead. Others think he's no longer Richard.
I called him. I said, hi. He said, oh, hi. I said, so let me have it. Are you becoming a woman?
Some think Richard vanished because he seemed to carry the weight of the world on his shoulders.
There's a tremendous burden you take on when you connect with so many people that are sharing with you their challenges, their burdens, and it can really drag you down.
I was always so surprised when he thought I'd make fun of him. But doesn't that show you he's got like a heart ache? Something's broken inside?
We have answers. We know where Richard is and why he vanished and what he's up to now.
I happen to be a very serious person and pretty much a recluse.
Tonight, TMZ investigates what really happened to Richard Simmons.
I am interviewing people here at the airport to see if they work out.
Richard Simmons was one of the most visible people in entertainment. He was everywhere, on TV.
Good to see you.
Hi,
everybody! Radio.
Oh, you send me. Oh, you.
Infomercials.
Now with my program, you can live the healthy life you've always dreamed of. And you can start right now.
He showed up at countless public appearances.
I believe I could fly.
On the surface, Richard seemed to love being in the spotlight.
I don't know. I'd be too shy to meet her.
You shy? You shy?
He was loud, emotional.
Most people don't have peace on this earth because we're so easy to be judgmental.
He really was committed to spreading love and compassion. He was on a mission to help millions of people get healthy.
I've made enough money to last me the rest of my life, to take care of my mother, to be good to my friends and my brother and my family. But this is a cause. I'm on a mission. I'm here on a mission. I always welcome everyone with unconditional love. That's just the way I was raised.
Richard was just everywhere.
Are you having a good time?
Yes, we are. You guys having a great time?
Yeah.
Richard.
Having a party. And everyone is fine. Yeah.
Until he wasn't. The date, February 15th, 2014. Richard just disappeared, never to be seen again publicly.
It was almost like you were going to a funeral, but of a person who was still living.
For more than 8 years, Richard's been MIA, and there's a lot of theories. Failing health, depression, grieving the loss of his beloved dog. Some even think he's being held hostage by his housekeeper.
There actually are answers. We know where Richard is, but to understand what happened to him, why he retreated, you have to understand his early life, his struggles, and how his experiences shaped him into one of the most famous people in America. Fame that ultimately proved too much of a challenge.
I went through a lot of hurt as a child. I was the largest child in school. I was, at the age of 15, I was 200 pounds. I went to my first Halloween party dressed as a couch. I was the one made fun of, and all of these things were kind of working against me, and I felt very bad about myself.
Richard was born in 1948 in New Orleans, and something that happened to him at birth has a direct connection to his disappearance. A birth defect that significantly affected one of his legs. He was born without a full set of bones in his foot, and it caused physical and emotional problems.
Richard found comfort in food, and he gained weight, a lot of it. And that put a lot of stress on his knees. Now remember this, because Richard's knees and his disappearance are connected.
It was the perfect storm. Food became Richard's best friend, and a lot of it was deep fried.
I had a true compulsion for food. I didn't get it from my mom or dad because they were very thin. But there was something about a fried oyster poor boy. There was something about crawfish etouffee. There was something about that food, that crispy fried chicken, and those mashed potatoes that said, hello. And I couldn't stop it.
He didn't have any friends, and he was unmercifully bullied.
When I was in high school and I'd go to the bathroom, they would put lighter fluid under the stall and then light a match to it.
Really?
To burn my legs. I found that food was my friend. When I brought a D home in chemistry, my mother and father screamed and yelled. The cookies remained calm.
Now, food became an obsession. By the end of high school, he weighed 268 pounds.
There was 5 stores from my house to the Catholic school, St. Louis Cathedral, and I stopped in all 5 of them. And I ate, and then I didn't want anyone to know that I ate, so I'd then take the wrappers and hide them in the Kotex boxes. And you think, you think it's funny, but you don't want your parents to know.
Richard tried everything from diet pills to laxatives, even throwing up, and ultimately starvation.
I only ate lettuce and drank water for 2.5 months. I lost 137 pounds, but I almost died. And I ended up in the hospital. I was dehydrated, I was anorexic, I was bulimic, I was lost.
Richard was a mess, and a nurse told him his life was in danger.
Someone asked me the question, do you want to live or do you want to die? And I had tried all the ways to lose weight and die. And I said, I want to live.
And that really changed his entire life.
Richard knew the struggles all too well, and he wanted to help others. He felt it was a mission of life or death.
Then I got that love affair with making somebody happy, which is very important to me.
Richard had dreams of making it big, so he moved to Hollywood. And like most people who have a vague idea of breaking into entertainment, Richard's first job was a maitre d' at a West Hollywood restaurant called Derrick's, a celebrity hotspot.
At any given day, you could walk downstairs to where the piano bar was, and you could see Elton John just get up and start playing the piano. Lucille Ball could be there, Orson Welles, Ed McMahon was a regular customer.
Richard would meet everybody with just a scream, literally screaming at the door. And if a man came to the door and they had a tie, he would cut their tie off.
People that would order certain things, and Richard would be at the table, and he would just out of the blue say, no, that's not good for you. No, I think you should have a salad. It was hysterical.
Richard caught the eye of some pretty important people in the business, but his immediate goal was to open an exercise studio. He saved $25,000 and did just that in 1974, a studio called Anatomy Asylum, which ultimately became the famed Simmons.
Hi! Are you gonna come and sweat? Simmons, you gotta come!
Simmons was the staple. It was the go-to facility. It was your destination for fitness. Richard Simmons' classes were so infectious. They were electric. Every time was different than the other. You didn't even know what he was gonna wear. You didn't even know what kind of attitude he was gonna be in, which 99% of the time it was nothing but excitement. He was just oozing with joy.
He would go there and he would really teach. And it was truly easy for everyone to do. He wasn't mean, he was encouraging, he was motivating, he cared about each person, and he truly, truly was part of it because everyone could do it. He was so encouraging to every body type. He really brought in people from all over, from different types, and he cared about them. And he could do anything because he was so lovable.
There'd be times where, he would get a little emotional. He'd be crying, he'd be sobbing, there'd be, snot coming down his nose sometimes. But, it was beautiful in a way.
Richard's career was about to explode. He became the improbable fitness guru to millions of people, and the armchair shrink to thousands of people whose desperate struggles mirrored his own. Now, that is critical in understanding why Richard Simmons ultimately just vanished.
Coming up, a lot of people just need to be hugged, and they need to be told they're loved.
Richard becomes a lifeline for millions of people, a burden that was just too much to bear.
There's a tremendous burden you take on when you connect with so many people that are sharing with you their challenges, their burdens, their guilt over their fitness or their weight. If you don't have the ability to compartmentalize that, it can really drag you down.
When what really happened to Richard Simmons rolls on.
Richard was on a roll. He was making a splash in the fitness industry, and then he landed a gig on General Hospital, where he played himself, helping an overweight girl.
Now, what is the worst thing in the whole world for you to eat? Chocolate! And what is the best thing to eat? Veggies! And who is the biggest bully in the whole world? You are! Wait, you said you were going to say Leslie. We rehearsed. Hi, Leslie.
Richard was a hit and stayed for 2 years.
I went into my dressing room one day, and there were these stacks of these letters in these big post office bins. It took up a whole wall. And I thought they were for Luke and Laura. She said, Richard, those are all your letters. Because whatever you did this week on the show with these two people, these two ladies who had to lose weight, must have struck a chord.
He took these letters to heart, answering every one, offering advice, offering comfort, but that empathy, it can take its toll.
There's a tremendous burden you take on when you connect with so many people that are sharing with you their challenges, their burdens, their guilt over their fitness or their weight or whatever. And if you don't have the ability to compartmentalize that, it can really drag you down.
Richard's exercise studio was becoming a monster hit.
Hi, I'm Richard Simmons. My first anatomy asylum in Los Angeles was the start of something great. A great national network of 72 clubs in 13 cities, including yours, where people like you can lose weight, look good, and feel great.
Lots of people tried to make a killing in the fitness industry. There was a simple reason Richard hit it big.
He made it fun. He made fitness fun, and truly that's what it's all about, to get people off the couch and just move. It was easy that everyone can do it, so they felt accomplished. And the way he made them feel makes you feel good inside.
And this was just the beginning for Richard. More opportunities followed, a motivational talk show.
Just bring me a salad, okay?
Monsieur, your salad.
My doctor says if I even have one little teeny bite of these, I can cause a whole epidemic.
6 cookbooks.
The new book is called Sweetie Pie.
And everybody in the audience got one today.
The money was rolling in. Get this. He sold $160 million in weight loss cards that people put in their wallets to figure out food portions.
Oh, I have to ask you something. Are you a cookie monster? How about a lettuce salad with orange segments, 6 walnuts, and 2 tablespoons of low-cal dressing?
He hosted a cooking show called Slim Cookin', and then...
It's party time. Come on, Kim. Come on out.
The blockbuster workout video, Sweatin' to the Oldies.
Fucking grind. 1, 2, you'll get it.
It was the biggest selling workout video ever, grossing north of $200 million.
He created the look, the hair, the shiny skin with the baby oil on it, and the tank top and the short shorts and the energetic moves all the time. I think people really liked him. He was an authentic freak, and I mean that in the best possible way. And the audience to whom he was catering were people who needed someone to love them.
I have 120 pounds to lose, and I'd like to know what is going to make me want to do this for myself.
What do I hear in your voice?
Depression.
Do I hear depression and sadness?
Very sad.
Now, Richard was besieged by desperate fans suffering from obesity, depression, low self-esteem, and he made it his mission to help everyone.
I kiss and hug more people than the Pope.
At public appearances, Richard was mobbed by people. But here's the thing about him. He would stay for hours and talk to everyone he could, trying to help them.
I go to a mall and there's 4,000 people there, and I stay and I kiss and hug, because a lot of people just need to be hugged, and they need to be told they're loved.
He had biggest heart you've ever imagined. He deeply cared about people. He would call them up to see how they're doing, do daily check-ins with people. He really felt he could really help everyone.
This lady's lost 70 pounds!
I can tell you from being someone that deals with people and deals with their problems and deals with their challenges, that takes a lot out of someone.
I pray a lot, which helps with the stress of what I really do besides being a court jester. I call hundreds of people a week who are 200 pounds, 400 pounds.
It is incredible how Richard would spend hours helping a stranger who reached out for help.
I had just had my first baby and had gained weight. I couldn't afford to go to a gym, and I thought, I'm gonna just reach out to Richard Simmons. I sent him, I think, an email, and the next thing I knew, he called me, and he spent about an hour and a half on the phone with me. He wanted to know everything about me. He wanted to know about my kids, my husband, my family. He said, I'm gonna call you weekly and walk you through this, and we're gonna get you back to where you wanna be.
Richard again. How are you, Richard?
Come here!
And get this, there were tour buses that would regularly drive by Richard's Hollywood Hills home, and he'd always come out and talk to the passengers.
Hi. Oh my gosh, she's a cheerleader. Look at her. Oh, yeah!
Oh my God, he ran over his foot.
Even after a car ran over his foot, and while he was bleeding, he kept on chatting. He refused to go to the hospital until after the bus left.
No, I'm going to be okay. No, it's bleeding, but don't worry about it. The blood is dripping. No, I'm fine. I love your wife. Oh, no, it's okay. And this is your husband?
This is.
No.
So you'd think Richard was the most social guy in town. He certainly was the loudest.
How you feeling?
I'm wonderful. Start spreading the news.
But that wasn't the real Richard Simmons. It never was. The real Richard was quiet, withdrawn, a loner. The exact opposite of what people saw.
It was quieter when we were just by ourselves, having breakfast, cinnamon crunch or whatever that thing is he used to make. He was a guy that at 10 o'clock at night, he'd be putting on his creams and going to bed. After spending so many hours talking to people, I think he would kind of just want to be a little quiet.
Richard talked about who he really was on the Sklar Brothers podcast in 2012.
I don't hang out with people. I socialize with no one. I haven't been to anyone's house in 7 years.
When Richard was off, he was totally off the grid.
I happen to be a very serious person and pretty much a recluse. I don't really go out that much.
In other words, what you saw publicly, well, it was an act.
I get to act out all my fantasies in front of an audience, hoping that through that message they will get some kind of reaction to their own lives. But I'm really basically kind of a quiet person.
He was a performance artist. He had a character. I think he was a traditional fat guy who'd lost a lot of weight and was very insecure about himself and presented a picture to the public.
Your public persona and your private persona, they can blur themselves because it's like, who am I really? I spend more time being that person than I do who I am when I'm not on. You kind of can forget who's really who.
As for who Richard really is, he's truly a solitary man who comes home and shuts off the world around him.
I spend a lot of my day crying, to be very honest with you.
His life seems incredibly lonely, but it's by his own choosing.
I do get lonely once in a while, but you have to turn that loneliness into solitude. Richard Simmons is a real quiet kind of recluse person. I really don't go out.
Really?
I never leave my hotel room. I've never been to a bar or a disco. I don't party. So I spend my time alone and think about my life and re-energize me. The time that I have by myself, I'm good to myself. I lead a very disciplined life, and that's the way I like it.
When he was off, he would get very emotional because little things hurt him deeply because there was a part of him that had never really grown up.
I'm 65, and I'm still a kid, and I think like a kid. I don't think like an adult.
Richard told Men's Health that he tends to internalize everyone else's struggles. He said, "After I talk to so many people who are so unhappy about their weight and so depressed that they don't see any rainbows in their life, after I talk to about 30 of those, then I try to walk away and pet my dog, just do something that makes me happy. But I'll tell you, it's hard. I take it all very personally. When someone gains weight, it's my fault. I know it's not, but that's just the way my mind works."
If you put yourself out there as something perfect, you'll never succeed for a continued time because you'll keep revealing what's not operating at optimum on you or in you. I think it was in his head. I think it was emotional that he wasn't enough.
Coming up, my advice to anyone who's watching is number one, love yourself.
Richard just disappears.
Nobody expected it. It was totally out of left field.
I liked him. I was always so surprised when he thought I'd make fun of him. But doesn't that show you he's got like a heart ache? Something's broken inside?
When what really happened to Richard Simmons continues.
Kelley Blue Book Instant Cash Offer is an official offer to buy your car. Just enter your vehicle ID information, answer a couple questions, then receive a no-obligation offer to sell it or trade it. Then choose a dealer to purchase your car, schedule a time, and drive away with confidence. For all of the its, KBB.com.
Moderate to severe eczema still disrupts my skin. Despite treatment, it disrupts my skin with itch. It disrupts my skin with rash. But now, I can disrupt eczema with Rinvoq. Rinvoq is not a steroid, topical, or injection. It's one pill, once a day, that's effective without topical steroids. Many taking Rinvoq saw clear or almost clear skin, while some saw up to 100% clear skin. Plus, they felt fast itch relief, some as early as 2 days. That's Rinvoq relief.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer. Death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Disrupt the itch and rash of eczema. Talk to your doctor about Rinvoq.
Learn how AbbVie can help you save.
You get a crispy chicken sandwich with a medium fries and drink for just $5 when you order on the McDonald's app. And the sandwich even comes wrapped in silver, like a crispy, juicy, tender present. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
To introduce our new Kingsford Charcoal made with real spices, we asked TikTok's angry reactions for his expert opinion.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thanks, man. It's flavor like never before.
You're never fully dressed without a smile.
Richard Simmons was raking in millions and millions of dollars. He was famous, successful, loved by millions of people he never even met. But privately, Richard was struggling. He was playing a role 24/7 that was the exact opposite of who he was.
And to top things off, he would very willingly allow famous people to make fun of this over-the-top character that he played. He didn't show it, but it really hurt his feelings in a big way.
But what's the point of this?
Just to make people feel good and laugh.
and to talk about.
Whether they're laughing with me or at me doesn't mind.
It hurt him when they made fun of him, when Letterman put a fire extinguisher on him. I mean, he played it. You can actually see he's distressed.
I know one night that I was on the Larry King show, and he was either going to be a guest or supposed to be a guest, and I heard through the Larry King people that he didn't want to be on the show with me, and I said, why? And he said, she'll make fun of me, and that's not my style anyway. I never make fun of anybody. But that's when I realized, oh, a little insecurity has gotten in there. I liked him. I was always so surprised when he thought I'd make fun of him. But doesn't that show you he's got like a heartache? Something's broken inside? Maybe that's what we liked about him. Maybe we saw behind the facade. Maybe we saw that deep inside was really a fragile guy, like a fine piece of crystal that could break very easily. Because he did it. He had it. And then let it go.
By 2012, a full 2 years before he disappeared, Richard was thinking about packing it in.
In the last few years, he talked a little bit about retiring, like, what are you going to do if I retire kind of thing. So I know it was in his mind for a few years before he actually did it.
Hi, Mr. Simmons.
How are you doing?
I'm pretty good. How is everything?
Happy New Year's to you and all your viewers.
On January 11th, 2014, Richard showed up for a charity event. It was his last public appearance, though no one knew that but him. Now, we got him out that same night, and Richard was not his energetic self.
You count your blessings and enjoy every day that you have. You know, we live in a world now where a lot of people don't have very much self-worth. And I think when you have self-worth, you can inherit the earth.
Then a month later, February 15th, 2014, Richard's a no-show at his Simmons class. Since 1974, he'd made weekly appearances. But then suddenly, he wasn't there anymore.
Nobody expected it. It was totally out of left field. Nobody could have braced for impact either. And the sign on the door said, Richard has been undergoing physical therapy for a persistent knee problem and has been instructed to stay off his feet. Richard will not be teaching for the remainder of March unless his condition improves.
Days passed, weeks, months. Richard was simply gone. There was no announcement, no calls. He just disappeared.
When it came to Richard Simmons' closing of the studio, it was just very sudden. His manager came into the studio and he really wanted to read a letter that Richard Simmons had wrote for everybody. Well, it's been over 40 years now, and I'm finally taking my own advice. I'm being kind to myself and putting myself first. Please know that I'm in good health and I am happy. I simply am making a new beginning for myself, quietly and in my very own special way. I will not see you today because I am not very good at endings. I would just spend the whole time hugging and crying. This should be a celebration of our 40+ years together, dancing and sweating.
The mystery would eventually lead to a house call by LAPD detectives. There were stories that Richard was being abused, and fingers were pointed at one particular person. There were even stories Richard was dead. So what happened to Richard Simmons? Well, we're about to break down the evidence, and if you've been watching closely, it's a good bet you may be able to figure this out.
Coming up, I lived with a beautiful Mexican woman for 19 years named Teresa.
Wild theories on what happened to Richard.
When Richard disappeared from public view, Teresa was literally the gatekeeper. We got photos of her standing outside of his Hollywood Hills home, keeping would-be visitors away.
I called him and I said, I've been reading about you. And he said, yeah, I know. I said, so let me ask, are you becoming a woman?
What really happened to Richard Simmons returns after a short break.
When moderate to severe ulcerative colitis persists, put it in check with Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
When UC got unpredictable, I got rapid symptom relief with Rinvoq. Check.
When UC held me back, I got lasting steroid-free remission with Rinvoq. Check.
And when UC got the upper hand,
Rinvoq helped visibly repair the colon lining. Check. Rapid symptom relief, lasting steroid-free remission, and a chance to visibly repair the colon lining. Check, check, and check.
Rinvoq can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB, serious infections and blood clots, some fatal, cancers, including lymphoma and skin cancer, death, heart attack, stroke, and tears in the stomach or intestines occurred. People 50 and older with at least one heart disease risk factor have higher risks. Don't take if allergic to Rinvoq, as serious reactions can occur. Tell your doctor if you are or may become pregnant.
Put UC in check and keep it there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq and learn how AbbVie could help you save.
They know. They know Chipotle buys over 30 million pounds of local produce a year to support local farmers. And that these fajita veggies were cut, seasoned, and grilled fresh today. But you don't need to know all that to know that real food just tastes better. Chipotle, for real.
Today, anything is possible.
Today, anything is possible.
Someone stealing a package from your porch?
Like, are your kids home safe?
She never knows where her kids are.
Did you leave your stove on and your house is burning down?
Is my house burning down? Where are my kids? Did my package get stolen? Are they okay?
With up to 4K video resolution, advanced AI object detection, and emergency one-touch response, you can protect your everything with Arlo.
Lonely girl.
Hi, Richard. We meet
I was
again?
just singing.
What was that, Lonely Girl?
I was doing Lonely Girl, but now I'm going to break into Rihanna's song.
Let's hear it.
Where have you been, baby? Where have you been all my life?
It's one of the great mysteries of pop culture, how someone who outwardly showed a love of people, who seemed filled with joy, who could light up a room with nuclear energy, just plain vanished.
Now, there are various explanations. Some whispered, some screamed around town. But based on what we know, a few are bogus and a few ring true.
There's a sinister theory that his housekeeper, Teresa Reveles, was allegedly holding him hostage.
Teresa was way more than a housekeeper. She was the closest person to Richard in his life. She's worked for him for more than 30 years. Their relationship wasn't sexual, but it was so deep that he sometimes said she was like his wife.
I lived with a beautiful Mexican woman for 19 years named Teresa. I have a very isolated life.
Teresa was richly rewarded. Richard bought her a Mercedes, a house, and speaking of houses, some people thought she might have been the boss of his.
When Richard disappeared from public view, Teresa was literally the gatekeeper. We got photos of her standing outside of his Hollywood Hills home, keeping would-be visitors away.
One of his friends filed an elder abuse claim with the LAPD. The LAPD went to his house on Friday night to do a welfare check because they thought somebody might be abusing him. And a detective by the name of Kevin Becker told us Richard was fine, that he had made the decision on his own to withdraw. He seemed articulate, relaxed, lucid. He had grown a beard. Everything seemed okay, except Richard was limping because of knee problems.
The cops concluded Teresa was simply a fiercely loyal employee and friend. But Richard was the boss of the house, and that view is shared by people close to him.
Anybody who thinks that anybody can hold Richard hostage doesn't know Richard. Teresa wouldn't even dream of it. It's the sort of thing that wouldn't even cross her mind. She loved Richard. Holding him hostage is just nonsense.
So once the cops left and we broke the story that they were there to investigate that he was being held hostage, Richard finally broke his silence and he called the Today Show.
No one is holding me in my house as a hostage. You know, I do what I want to do as I've always done. So people should sort of just believe what I have to say because, like, I'm Richard Simmons.
And then the theory. Richard was no longer Richard. The National Enquirer published a story saying that he had transitioned to a woman now going by the name of Fiona. Now, that sent Richard over the edge. He sued the Enquirer for defamation, saying the story was false and malicious.
So when I saw the Enquirer, I called him. He picked up the phone, and I said, hi. He said, oh, hi. And I said, I've been reading about you. And he said, yeah, I know. I said, so let me ask, are you becoming a woman or when they say you're transitioning, does that mean you're on the way out? And he said, I'm not transitioning in any way. I said, great, good to hear. And he said, well, I have to go now. And that was that.
Richard lost the lawsuit, not because the story was true. It wasn't. But for Richard to win, he would have to prove that the lie subjected him to scorn and ridicule. The judge said being transgender doesn't automatically expose people to hatred. And for those who do hate people in the transgender community, the judge simply said he would not recognize them.
There's another theory. Richard didn't have many friends, and his beloved dogs actually filled that space. He had 8 Dalmatians, and with the passing of each, Richard was heartbroken. In 2014, just before Richard disappeared, the last dog, Hattie, died at age 17, and Richard was inconsolable.
He loved his dogs. Every time one of the dogs died, and there were 8, you hear people go, well, you look like your dog died. That's kind of what it would be with Richard. When the dog died, he was brokenhearted. I don't know whether the last one was worse than the first one. In fact, I'm not so sure that the first one wasn't more heartbreaking. I can't say that I think that the dog's dying made him feel more likely to retire. The dogs, pretty sure, had nothing to do with that.
For decades, his life was all about helping people, many of whom were desperate.
I need a couple dollars. This man is not eating, and he's homeless. You okay?
Oh, that's so nice.
And he would carry around this burden, and he became so emotionally invested, he was like a therapist. And at a point, that just becomes too much to bear.
I always welcome everyone with unconditional love. That's just the way I was raised.
I've known professionals throughout my 45-plus year career that really took to heart the pain and the problems instead of the hope and the coping, and it just really dragged them down, and they didn't have the ability to compartmentalize that. You have to have the ability to put a boundary around that, a fence around that, and say, okay, that's done. And if you don't have that compartmentalization ability, then you never get away from it. It can absolutely break you.
Maybe he's just liking not being in the public eye. Maybe he likes not having to put baby oil all over his body every day. Maybe he likes not having to be this era's Jerry Lewis. It's a lot of work to put out that kind of energy.
This is Brenda. She's a nurse, and I love her. This is Iris, who I love. Hi, Iris.
He's got hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals that he's investing. I mean, he was investing his own emotion, his own self into their stories and into their families. So I would imagine after all of those years, that would get very tiring and that he would need to kind of back off.
There are lots of theories on why Richard disappeared. Sometimes the real answer is right under our nose. The fact is, we have already hinted at it. And Richard's disappearance has to do with one of the oldest principles in showbiz. Always leave them laughing.
Coming up.
Richard, are you okay, Richard? If you're okay, let us know.
Turns out Richard's disappearance is directly connected to a physical problem that dogged him for decades. And Richard didn't want his image recast from a vibrant fitness guru to, well, something else.
That's totally Garbo.
What really happened to Richard Simmons? The answer when we come back.
Detect this. Living with HIV, I learned I could stay undetectable with fewer medicines. That's why I switched to Dovato. Dovato is for some adults who are starting an HIV-1 treatment or replacing their current HIV-1 regimen. Detect this. No other complete HIV pill uses fewer medicines to help keep you undetectable than Dovato.
Detect this. Most HIV pills contain 3 or 4 medicines. Dovato is as effective with just 2.
Research shows people who take HIV treatment as prescribed and get to and stay undetectable can no longer transmit HIV through sex. Don't take Dovato if you're allergic to its ingredients or if you take dofetilide. Taking Dovato with dofetilide can cause serious or life-threatening side effects. Hepatitis B can become harder to treat while on Dovato. Don't stop Dovato without talking to your doctor, as your hepatitis B may worsen or become life-threatening. Serious or life-threatening side effects can occur, including allergic reactions, lactic acid buildup, and liver problems. If you have a rash or other allergic reaction symptoms, stop Dovato and get medical help right away. Tell your doctor if you have kidney or liver problems, or if you are, may be, or plan to be pregnant. Dovato may harm your unborn baby. Use effective birth control while on Dovato. Do not breastfeed while taking Dovato. Most common side effects are headache, nausea, diarrhea, trouble sleeping, tiredness, and anxiety.
Detect this. I stay undetectable with fewer medicines. Ask your doctor about switching to Dovato.
At Metro by T-Mobile, you can save more with one line of unlimited 5G for just $40, period. That's the lowest price in prepaid, so you can share the big moments like your little star's debut. Save more, only at Metro.
So sweet, so crispy. Nobody makes breakfast as good as Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks.
Nobody.
Nope.
Keep talking. I can't hear you.
I should probably stop.
Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's new home-style French toast sticks.
There's something we've heard from several people who are very close to Richard. He wanted to be remembered as a vibrant, healthy man.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
Look at you!
Oh my God, come in!
Not an elderly man with medical problems. Richard wanted to retreat before his image was recast as an old man, and his knee problems were a huge factor in his decision.
Richard's knee problems got measurably worse over time. He had a right knee replacement a few years back and still needed a left one. He was in a lot of pain.
I think his knee thing played into him saying enough's enough, because if he couldn't do his best and he didn't want to get his other knee done and he couldn't feel like he could really go full tilt like he always did, I think it was just part of a few different things that made him realize that it was time to retire.
I've been doing this for 40 years, and so that's what I do.
We know doctors told Richard back in 2014, around the time he disappeared, that he needed a left knee replacement, and that if he didn't get one, he might never be able to exercise again. Now, this is key to the disappearance of Richard Simmons.
When it came to working with Richard Simmons and his knees, I remember that there was a constant conversation amongst, the class members. They were like, you know what, Richard Simmons, needs a knee replacement.
The prospect of surgery, of becoming sedentary, caused Richard to sink into a deep depression.
There were two things that Richard was selling, which was ebullience, enthusiasm.
And you know me, I'll do anything to make him laugh and sweat.
Oh, dude, I love it, man.
Because I was born this way.
I love the fit. Oh, my God, you go, boy.
And getting yourself into good shape. So to be seen in any kind of pain or discomfort, or at any lower level than 100% of joy would be a real problem for him, because that was his brand.
We know to this day, Richard still hasn't gotten corrective surgery on his left knee. He walks with a cane, and that explains a lot. He's just not the same guy anymore.
He was loath to have surgery. He was just generally afraid of surgery and afraid of how it would change him. He was afraid that the fix would make it worse.
There's one LAPD detective who has talked to Richard over the years since he disappeared. He's talked to him on the phone, in person, and he doesn't want to be identified, but he told me that Richard told him that he just didn't want to be remembered as this frail guy. He wanted to be remembered as a guy that millions of people loved and watched, and that's why he disappeared.
That's totally Garbo. Garbo retired in 1945, and she lived for 50 years after that, and mostly in seclusion. And I think Richard had the same thing. I mean, I think absolutely he didn't want to be seen old.
But I would say that, there comes a moment, I think, when you need a double knee replacement, especially at that age, that you kind of start thinking, how does this affect the overall picture? You know what I mean? Am I going to be able to bounce back from this? What do I really want at this time in life?
I think he had an idea, which more people should frankly have, of stopping while he was at the top, rather than waiting until he got older and weirder. At some point, when you're such a high-energy guy, it's time to stop. And it's time to just say goodbye.
Your zest for life, it all comes from taking care of yourself, eating healthy and exercising. And so we're going to do it here at Simmons.
And enjoying it. Do you think you're going to do it for another 63 years?
I want to live to be 100 really, really bad. So, I'm eating, a lot of salads and praying a lot and doing a lot of bun squeezes.
Okay.
So I don't know, maybe,
So over the last few years, there were some mysterious trips to the hospital. In 2016, Teresa dialed 911, and Richard was rushed to the ER. Some people thought he was seriously ill, but then Richard went on Facebook and said he was just dehydrated.
This is one of the only photos of Richard since 2014. When he returned from the hospital, he was sitting in the back seat, and Teresa was riding shotgun.
There were other trips to Cedars, and we know at one point the LAPD actually created a human shield around him to escort him back inside his home.
Richard, please, are you okay, Richard? Richard, are you okay, Richard? Please give us a word if you're okay. Let us know.
Fact is, the Richard who has vanished is more authentically himself than the loud, sometimes crazy persona that he created. Richard himself has said over the years, at his core, he's a loner, a quiet person who's more at peace alone.
People may say that I'm very lonely.
Why would they say that?
A lot of people here sort of know me. They've been coming here for 10, 20, 30 years. I don't go out. See, I don't go to parties. I don't go to people's homes. I once in a while go to a movie. I mean, do I get lonely on the road sometimes, sitting in a room? Do I get lonely on a plane sometimes, traveling 200? Yes, I do.
You get to a point in your life where maybe you decide it's my time and it's my turn. Enough's enough and too much is too much. I'm going to do what I want to do, and what I want to do is be by myself and kind of hang out and find some solitude and some peace. If you see someone that has an extreme personality, when they make changes, they tend to be extreme changes.
Richard's been a recluse for years, and paparazzi agencies are obsessed with getting a photo, a video, really anything of Richard.
Never have I seen this amount of time pass and not be able to find somebody. Even the toughest of celebrities to photograph, the Tom Cruises, the Brad Pitts, who go to great lengths to make sure they're photographed when they want to be photographed, even they are more findable than Richard Simmons. Richard Simmons absolutely takes the award for best hide.
Richard Simmons seemingly became a shut-in, a man who chose self-imprisonment in a beautiful home, never to venture out. Well, this is the last twist in the story, because we know those prison gates often secretly opened.
Coming up.
I just enjoyed this time by myself.
Turns out Richard hasn't disappeared from public view. It's just he figured out a way nobody notices him.
Over the years, we've been told that Richard has cleverly figured out ways of living his life in plain sight.
After the break, the conclusion of what really happened to Richard Simmons.
My name is Gary.
Pastel.
Josie, I have MS.
I have MS.
MS is what we have.
I take Ocrevus,
an infusion treatment that's 2 times a year.
For adults with relapsing or primary progressive forms of multiple sclerosis, Ocrevus is proven effective in reducing relapses in RMS and slowing disability progression in RMS and PPMS.
Don't take Ocrevus if you've had a life-threatening allergic reaction to it or have hepatitis B. Tell your doctor about vaccinations or if you've had Hep B, as it could come back. A common side effect of Ocrevus is infusion reactions, and some may require hospitalization. It can increase your risk of infections, which can be serious and may decrease certain types of immunoglobulins. While PML was not reported in clinical trials, it could happen. An increased risk of cancer, including breast cancer, may exist.
MS is what we have,
not who we are.
not who we are.
Not who we are. Ask if Ocrevus is right for you and join our community.
Facing expensive vitamin C creams with dull results? Olay brightens it up with Olay Vitamin C. Gives you 2 times brighter skin. Hydrates better than the $100, $200, even $400 cream. See? My skin looks more even and way brighter. Dullness? So done. Turn up your results with Olay Vitamin C. My skin can face anything. Shop the full Vitamin C collection at Olay.com.
Itchy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. It just cleans better, so your family can use less.
Hello, clean bottom.
The joy to go with Charmin.
Going back in style doesn't have to break the bank. With great prices on trending denim and school day essentials, you get the best and nothing less. So goods for life. More style, more savings. Only at Kohl's.
Mr. Simmons, how are you?
Hi. How are you?
Richard Simmons has not been spotted in public for more than 8 years, but not for lack of trying.
We did invest quite a bit of time, and we were not able to find him.
He's given up public life entirely. And on the surface, it looks like he's just confined himself to his beautiful Hollywood Hills estate, which, by the way, looks like Tara from Gone with the Wind.
I take walks and I take drives and, I just, go out and get some fresh air, and I have a gym upstairs, and I've been working out in my gym. And so I've just sort of, enjoyed this time by myself.
So how is he able to do that and not be spotted? Well, over the years, we've been told that Richard has cleverly figured out ways of living his life in plain sight. But I think even Sherlock Holmes would have a tough time cracking this caper, because Richard is a master of disguise.
Maybe he's dressing up so extravagant that even the best eye can't spot him.
So Richard is gone from public view, and maybe gone for good. It's sad for millions of his followers, people who loved him, people who relied on him. But if life is a prison sentence, Richard has done his time helping people. And now it's his time to do what he wants, although his life does seem pretty lonely.
I'm sorry that he's not out there, because I think that he would be fun, especially that now that there's so much content and social media. He could make it again if he wanted to.
I have not talked to Richard since March of 2014. I did try reaching out, but he's never responded. I would only add that, just to tell Richard, who's probably going to watch this, that he's missed and he's still loved. And if he ever felt like unretiring, we'd all be here for him. I guess I might move back to California for that. And call me.